Frank's Red Hot is the perfect blend of flavor and heat, so you can use an entire bottle to make recipes like buffalo chicken dip or buffalo nachos, or even things that don't start with buffalo. Frank's Red Hot, I put that on everything.
What's up, Craig?
Saturday morning, the Cougs were gonna have a game to play, and Max Borghi was gonna save the day. Oh, I believe in Saturday morning. Then what happened?
Dude,
I went to the store.
You don't believe in Saturday morning anymore.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that. But I went to the store, got my snacks, got some dip, got some chips. I was ready to go. And then I get home and I look at my phone, and all I see a text from one of my friends, one of our listeners. I know he'll hear this, and it just said like fuck or something like that, or frack or whatever. And I was just like, oh no! I knew exactly. All I saw was that text, and I knew exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, dude! Like 2 hours, not even 2 hours before the game.
I know. Like, how shitty was that?
Yeah, that just.
I feel terrible for the players on that one.
I know, just to get the players and the coaching staff spend all week preparing for this game.
Yeah.
They have an idea of how it's going to give out. Go, and like they have all these plans and they're ready, and then Max Borghi's coming back, and how hyped he was, they're missing all the, not playing a game at all, and nothing. By the way, I should probably mention this is Podcast Versus Everyone. I'm Craig Powers. With me is Jeff Newser.
That's us.
Yeah. But yeah.
Welcome to our show.
Welcome to our show, by the way.
By the way.
But yeah, what a bummer.
Like, we just figure if they're listening to us, if they have willingly pressed play on this crap, they know what they're listening to.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a bummer. Like, it's a bummer for, it just when you're so ready for the game, and as a fan, you're so ready for the game.
Yeah. And
like when it's that close, at that point, I knew that, they'd always tweet this. There'd always be this, the teams have passed their pregame COVID testing. The game is on. But you've seen that over and over again. And it's never been the teams have failed the pregame COVID testing. Never has the team traveled to the other location.
Well, not in the Pac-12. It's happened elsewhere.
Not in the Pac-12.
Clemson went all the way to Tallahassee, and
that's true.
And then old Dabo couldn't let go of that for about 5 days.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
but this is this is like the worst case scenario, right? I mean, it's like the worst of the worst. Like you prepare all week, you get ready, you travel, and everybody's just kind of, like WSU had even tweeted out the pregame uniform pictures, right? Like all the uniforms hanging in the lockers, and
they had Max Borghi's jersey in there, so everyone's like hyped and stuff.
Everybody was like, yeah, here we go. I mean, Cal's equipment was on the sidelines.
Oh yeah.
Like they had unloaded everything.
Minutes before it was canceled, WSU was like, we're playing to getting ready to the game. This game is happening today. All this stuff, because they were not expecting that. And then Cal apparently was in their bus going from I'm guessing like the Residence Inn or whatever to the stadium, and that's when they got the call that said one of your players tested positive. And then they had to do their quick contact tracing math, and what it ended up being is they were down to only 2 defensive linemen, which is a bummer.
Weenies,
come on, play with 2. No, but
play with 2.
They're not. I think the Pac-12 has guidelines for that, right? So position.
I think the Pac-12's
we're like,
guidelines.
no, we play a 2-6 or 2-6-3.
Come on.
Like, I don't know.
Well, we've played with we've played with some small defensive linemen. It's not that big. I don't know. Look, if this was the SEC, they probably play.
Oh yeah.
But in the Pac-12, and by the way, this is not, it's not a value judgment. I'm not saying like they should have played or shouldn't have played or whatever. I mean, I think probably, this whole exercise is incredibly stupid. And, at least in the football environment where there's so many players and, whatever. But, I think caution is warranted still, even though some people are convinced that, it's not really real or whatever. But, I think it was probably the right decision. It totally sucks, and just sort of further underscores for me that we had it right the first time and never should have done this.
Yeah, that there's two ways to think about it. You could be like, just maybe you're right, just shouldn't have tried because it's been such a headache scheduling. Obviously the players wanted to play.
Yep.
If that was the case, it doesn't seem like this rapid testing has made any sort of a difference.
No.
So you should have just,
if anything, it's made it worse.
Yeah, if anything, like you should have just played earlier. Like if you really wanted to get games in, you should have just started earlier. Like from a practice standpoint, this has all been just silly, and it's hard to, like you said over and over again, it's hard to take seriously when they're just playing these games just at random. When WSU canceled the Apple Cup, UW had a different game that week. And so it just on a few days' notice, we saw BYU fly out to Coastal Carolina, So like, and neither of those teams ended up in the round, the college football playoff. But it was fun to watch. But also, like, really, was it that big of a deal? I mean, it's a big deal to players; they want to win, whatever. But like on the grand scheme of things, they're not getting anything more out of it, and other than that fun. But it's just like. If you actually, at this point, it's like if you actually cared about playing the season, you should have just started it and then given yourself more leeway. Now you have WSU's playing, they've played 3 games,
right?
And 2 of them were from their own testing, one of them's from another testing.
Yeah.
So they played 3 games in the course of 6 weeks or 5 weeks, or no, 6 weeks, yeah,
6 weeks, yeah,
and then and now that's just. Now they're just you, and of course you have UW who's going to play Oregon, and that was the big matchup to decide the Pac-12 North, and they have COVID cases, so they have to cancel that. Worked out a hell of a lot better for them to cancel that than it did for most other teams.
Pac-12 North champs.
Pac-12 North champs.
They get to hang the banner even though they're totally not going to play in the game.
Yeah, played 4 games, all at home.
So stupid.
They didn't play Oregon. They didn't play WSU.
Yeah. The thing that makes me laugh the most about it is you referenced, or like in the last week, I've just gotten increasingly like, I cannot take any of this seriously, which probably is unfair to the players. Like that's the only people that's unfair to, I think, are the players and the coaches. Like, because they have obviously given it their level best to make some kind of season out of this. Yeah. They have tried and tried and tried. But it's like, I mean, we're seeing like, okay, on the East Coast and the Southeast where teams have been at this since August, right? And, so you've got teams that are ostensibly qualified for a bowl game just going, nah.
Yeah, like we're good.
We're good. We played the season. We made it to the end. Like, we are not doing this for another month. Like, fuck this. I've had enough tests. I've had enough, swabs shoved up into my brain. Like, I'm done.
These coaches and staff and players are getting tested all the time,
every day.
And they're supposed to be tested every day. Like, and so it's that's got to be just exhausting. Every time our little daughter gets a fever, we'll take her and get tested. Like, it's we'll get tested, whatever, and that's just once in a while, and that's a pain in the ass. Like, just having to be tested all the time. Not to even to speak of the morality of using all these testing resources so we can play college football.
Right.
I think I've said before. Ask my nurse practitioner partner who has to go seek out her own testing. They don't provide it at her work when she gets exposed to a COVID patient
at a healthcare provider.
At a healthcare provider. So they don't even provide it for them. And then we're using whatever. I don't want to go on too big of a tangent there, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's
and then silly. You think of this, like, here's the other thing I think of. Okay, so it's not, to me, it's probably not just the testing with them either, because, okay, so I think most of us have gotten pretty numb to this, and have also gotten, even the most diligent people have had to, like compromise in some way. So for example, when this whole thing started and it was like social distancing, like, I remember how anxiety ridden I would get just like trying to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
And like, I'd go in and I'm just thinking like, holy shit, any of these people could have this thing. I got to stay away. I got to steer clear. I got to walk around. I got to, like, somebody's in that aisle. Never mind. I'll just wait here on the end for 10 minutes if I have to. Like, I'm just like, no, right. And then, and then we start learning about, okay, the efficacy of masks, and that loosens things up a little bit. So now it's like, I mean, as much as and plus there's more people in the stores now. So you kind of get numb to it. You kind of get used to it. You're wearing the mask. Maybe you kind of brush, near somebody as they walk by you because maybe they're not very considerate or whatever. But like, you just are kind of like, we've done it enough. The anxiety comes down a little bit. But I'm thinking about the players. Like, okay, if they don't distance properly, if they don't wear their masks, then entire position groups get wiped out and they can't play the game. Right. So imagine the stress level for them to also need to be, hyper vigilant about where they sit and how close they are to people and what they, I mean, just like all of the stress that we had, every couple of days when we go to the grocery store versus they're having it like every minute of every day right now. And the
as
weight
18
of,
to 22-year-olds, basically,
and the weight of your team is on you, because if you fuck it up, like you could potentially knock out half your team with contact tracing. So that's just a lot of weight to put on people. And I can completely 100% see how they are just, how they're just burned out and fried. Like I absolutely can see. I don't know if that's happening in the Pac-12 just because they haven't been at it as long, but
yeah.
But still, it's, it is, I totally recognize how much of an investment this has been for the players and the coaches and how hard they've worked to try and pull it off. So in that respect, I'm not laughing at the silliness in terms of them. Like I admire, the players and who are not getting paid for this. We've been over this before, but, trying to make do, trying to make the best of it, trying to play a sport. Most of them, right, like, are playing because they really want to play. And so, they're trying to do that while, while those of us on the outside, I can't look at this and not think that the whole exercise is just completely absurd. Like, and I can't not smile or laugh at the observers and the college football writers and the fans who are like dead serious about all this. I'm just like, I can't take it seriously. I can't take any of it seriously, man. I just, like, I can't. It's a farce.
Well, as we know, there is lots of TV money on the line, because if you watch any college football broadcast, the commercials have been ramped up.
8,000 commercials every game.
They're trying to pull every last penny out of whatever game they can get. I can't like so. You were talking about the players. Basically, what is reported, there was one player. I think that this Pac-12 reported that there was one player that tested positive for COVID on Cal.
Yep.
And it's something, I assume something similar has happened at every school. And it just, all you have to do is have enough people that were in contact. And you're talking about a position group. How many defensive linemen you had traveling with you? Like maybe like 6 to 8?
Yeah. So, I wonder if it had happened before they left, if they, you mentioned the guidelines, the roster guide. I think they're just guidelines. So I think if they had some walk-ons that they felt comfortable with,
they could have brought them
that had traveled, then maybe. But they probably didn't travel, right? So, you're stuck in Pullman with not enough players, and away you go.
Yeah. So 4 of those guys are out, and suddenly you don't have a defensive line anymore. But maybe if they were still playing the air raid, that they wouldn't. They've been like, 2 is fine. We can roll with that. We're dropping 9.
Drop 9.
Screw dropping 8. We're dropping 9.
Beat this.
Yeah,
Mike Beach.
Seriously, that was a big bummer though.
We're gonna drop 11. Ha ha ha! Like, I don't know.
That was a big bummer. I can't imagine, like, I don't feel bad for the people running the college football broadcasting at Fox, but seriously, like, they're just like 2 2 hours before the game. They're already halfway through the game that's before this game, and suddenly it's like, well, what are you gonna throw in there? And I think they had like an infomercial or something.
Oh, I'm sure that's what it was.
I think I heard
or a rerun of something.
Yeah,
but it's supposed to be on Big Fox, right? Like it was supposed to be
Big
on
Fox. Yeah, 1 o'clock, a good 4 o'clock Eastern. Great time.
I mean, that's a prime slot. Yeah. Oh well, I don't know. It's whatever. I guess. I mean, Cal is already they're not playing next weekend.
Well, yeah,
that's been canceled.
Yeah.
Arizona also has its own COVID issues. Although, I kind of wonder if they just kind of went. How can we get out of this
70-7.
We just lost by 63 points. We just fired our coach. Do we really want to play a 7th game?
Oh yeah, we have the COVID too.
Hey, tell them we got COVID. We have COVID. Okay, fine. We'll cancel the game.
Please don't reschedule.
I legitimately wonder if that was part of the conversation. Like, what kind of excuse can we come up with? Tell them we have COVID. Okay, we have COVID.
But yeah, so it was interesting while USC was still playing UCLA. The Pac-12 announced the conference championship matchup.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
It's like, so if USC finishes 4-1 and Colorado finishes 4-1 and they didn't play each other, you're still like, it's USC. Is it because of the ranking or whatever? I don't know. Like I assume it's going by the assumed higher like college football playoff ranking. If USC would have lost to UCLA, they might have dropped out entirely. So I don't know how they would have decided that. It's very weird to me. But yeah, most teams when they do this, every team in the Pac-12, as far much as I can remember, when they cancel one, they cancel two. Yeah. So I have a hard time believing
the only team that hasn't done it is USC, and they pushed our game back to Sunday. That extra day got enough people out of isolation for USC to be able to play that game.
But it seems like
they were lucky. They were lucky.
The TV slot for the Pac-12 championship game was much more set in stone a long time ago.
It's Friday.
Yeah, so I wonder.
There's no way UW's playing in that game.
Yeah, there's no way they're playing on Friday if they push it back to. But they've already said that
and they're not going to push it back.
They said because they've said if you want to take this even less seriously, there are backup teams for the championship game
in Los Angeles.
This is ridiculous. Like there are backup teams for the game.
Oregon and Colorado. This is not a joke. Oregon and Colorado are going to be in Los Angeles.
They're playing each other
to play their game if neither of the teams drop out of the Pac-12 championship.
It's so.
I mean, come on, man.
I do think.
What are we even doing?
I don't know if Wilner shared this or if he was just agreeing with it. I think he was just agreeing with it. Like someone mentioned, I think it was a USC fan even just said, just give USC the title. Don't bother with this. Like even you can still play the game, but like if it's Oregon, like if you're getting the second place like team from the Pac-12 North comes and then beats USC and then Oregon gets the Rose Bowl berth.
Right.
Like it's kind of like, seriously, how serious is this?
It's insane. Well, like my favorite thing that Wilner does right now is he is like literally trying to apply real world logic to the whole situation.
Oh yeah.
And he's saying things like, well, this team has got an extra week to prepare.
Oh my God.
I'm just like, what the fuck? Like just like
oh, that was insane. Like,
oh my God! Like, someone's gonna have extra prep time. Like, what? Like, that would not be fair. I'm like, all this shit's out the window right now. Are you
UW didn't know they were going to play USC 2 weeks in advance. Like, UW didn't know. Like, that's
even
ridiculous.
If they did, who cares? Who cares? Like, who cares? Who cares now?
There's been games that have been played on 3 days prep. Like who cares? And what are they? They're doing their best teams a disservice. It's like they're not getting in the college football playoff. If that's what you're
nobody's
intimating,
getting in the college.
They're not getting in the college. Those teams are pretty much set at this.
It was
point.
a pipe dream from the beginning because they just didn't. You
really
see
have enough games.
I see, and I think it's not even that. Like, well, it is, but it isn't. Okay, so I'm thinking like, with every win, you have a chance to move up, right? Mm-hmm. And so teams that don't start at the top, right? So if you start at the top, if you're Ohio State is the perfect example, right? If you're already at the top and you play 6 fucking games, like, okay, fine, right? You're still at the top.
Everyone's like, well, of course Ohio State's one of the best teams, so we'll do what we need to do to get them there.
If you start the season at 20, and this has happened to WSU, however many years, right? Like we've had numerous years where we've started the season unranked, and not like numerous. I don't want to make it sound like it's a common occurrence, but we can point to multiple years where they started the year unranked or ranked low, and it took all fucking season of eventually winning like 9 or 10 games to climb up into the top 10, right? And so that was USC's issue, is they started like 20, right?
Yeah.
And so now they've won 5. They've gone 5-0, and granted they haven't won by huge margins against teams of questionable quality, but there's also an element of, you have to keep winning and keep passing the teams that are losing, and they just haven't done that because they've only played 5 games. Yep. So it was never going to happen in the first place.
Also, there's just a general just what the idea of the Pac-12's place.
Yes.
In this hierarchy is now very firmly below the other conferences. So any win in the Pac-12 doesn't even carry with it the value that a win in the SEC.
You got one ranked team right now.
Yeah,
it's USC. So
because you had Oregon, everyone thought, oh, they're the one that can get there. They've lost twice.
Yeah, it's pretty clear right away with them that they were not of that level. So,
and we know they lost a lot of people, opt-outs and stuff. So they weren't the team that they were never going to be the team that people thought they were. But yeah, so
Utah.
There's one more game, maybe. Who knows?
We think.
Possibly. Who knows with all the rearranging that may happen this week? I don't know.
Well, the only way the game doesn't get played is if one of our 2 teams, has a COVID outbreak. Like that is the good thing. Like Colorado could legitimately get hosed. I don't know if they're creating a backup plan with a Mountain West team or something. I mean, I have no idea, but
get that Colorado State game in.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado is almost certainly going to be left without an opponent. So, and I thought maybe they were going to have Arizona to play it because figuring Cal, since they had a positive test, they're probably going to be missing another game, which has happened. But obviously, again, sounds like Arizona's got its own issues. So I don't know. Colorado I don't know what they're going to do, but they will not have a Pac-12 opponent to play, I imagine. I mean, Stanford's going down and playing UCLA.
Yeah, I don't. And we'll just
split squad
to the point of the WSU Utah game.
Yeah,
I cannot think of a bigger middle they could a bigger middle finger to WSU in both team and all in location, team, time of who they're playing.
Yeah,
because Utah, I can see how they ended up with Utah, honestly. So whatever, because they probably wanted Stanford and UCLA to play each other, the California thing. You're having Oregon and Colorado play each other as the potential replacements. Cal and Arizona, whatever. Like you said, they may have been hoping that Arizona could be the backup to play Colorado. So
they may also have already known that Arizona had an issue.
Yeah,
that's possible too.
But and then I guess geographically, Utah's one of the closer ones, other than the Northern California teams who are already in WSU's division.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously all the Oregon teams too, but they've played them but
right.
But yes, but seriously, why does it have to be at 10:30 a.m.? And why does it have to be at Utah? WSU played at Utah last year. Why does WSU have to go to Utah?
Yeah, Utah should be coming to Pullman. Like that's it. I mean, I'm sorry. Utah should be coming to Pullman. Utah's played 4 games. They've had 2 at home and 2 on the road. WSU has played, 3 games, 1 at home, 2 on the road. They should get another home game, unless WSU said we don't want another home game, which I guess is possible.
Well, and we also know that
imagine what would lead to that.
We know that the one thing that WSU asked for in this whole stupid schedule was to start the season at home,
right?
And they didn't get that.
Right.
So, I obviously WSU ain't getting what it wants in any of this.
No.
So yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe it was a network thing. It's easier for them to get to Salt Lake City instead of Pullman, which it definitely is. But it's frustrating that they have to travel when they travel to Utah. Like there's other than the only thing that makes sense to me is the kind of the TV stuff, because everything else is like doesn't really make sense to me. Like because you'd automatically say from a competitive standpoint, well, WSU traveled to Utah last year. Yeah. Well, Utah's already had more home games. Yeah. So those two that would be easy to say. Yeah, we'll have WSU play at home.
I mean, are they trying to gin it up so that I tend not to buy into like these. I just don't know if the Pac-12 is smart enough to do any of this. But like if this were the SEC, you could go, okay, what's the, are we playing 4D chess here, right? Like because
Galaxy brain.
Yeah, I mean, like does the conference benefit more from Utah or WSU winning? And if it's Utah winning, then how does that affect other things? And I don't know. I mean, maybe Utah has its sights on going to a bowl game, and they've got to pick up one more win before the conference. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if you have to have a winning record or just a non-losing. I mean, I don't even know. But I know the Pac-12 was like, we're not letting our losing teams go to a bowl game. So, if Utah loses the game, then they can't go to a bowl game. And maybe, who knows? I don't know. I don't fucking know. And, I'm sure there's something that went into it that we have no idea about. The TV explanation sounds as plausible as anything, just easier to get all the stuff there, cheaper for the network. I'd buy that. I'd buy that, So
but,
whatever.
Yeah.
I can't get mad about it. I mean, I assume you're not mad. I'm not mad.
I'm not mad. I just think it's
just whatever.
It's silly.
It's like I feel bad for the players.
I feel bad for the players having to, get on
whatever.
And the guy who drives the equipment trunk who's got to drive
over
through a couple
City.
Mountains passes, to get there.
Yeah. In the middle of winter.
In the middle of winter. That's not a great drive in the middle of winter. It's some high elevations.
Like, how much snow is there going to be at that game?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. Let's look. Hold on. If you talk for a sec, I'll look up the.
Yeah.
I
don't have anything to say. Now I got to banter. I
know.
I got
make something up. You're a professional talker.
Well, yeah. I don't know. Like we'll preview the game on Friday, most likely if we get around to it this week. By the way, cheers to us for not doing a preview for the Cal game. That worked out really well, although I did spend plenty of time writing up a 1,500 word written preview. I spent on my Friday night. What a fun time. Fun thing to do on Friday night for a game that ultimately, and then I also, before I went to bed at like 1 o'clock in the morning, realized I needed to make the TV schedule post, and so I did that. And so I spent all that time, got less sleep on Friday night, just so I could have that post up in the morning, and what a waste of time that was.
Yeah. All right, so the weather report, so according to Dark Sky, my Dark Sky app, it says 31 degrees and overcast right now at 11 o'clock in Salt Lake City on Saturday. So, yeah. Shouldn't be too bad, but 31 degrees,
It'd be cool to get back to beating Utah. I know that, but
yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice to like go out there and then just be like, give them the middle finger and beat Utah again
in the morning?
Yeah. I mean, Utah's no juggernaut, so whatever. Nah, they're playing better now, but I don't know. Jake Bentley's still their quarterback, so.
All right, Jeff. I don't know if you looked at your phone. But
I have.
We have a guest coming up. Do we want to spoil it, or we'll just wait? We'll make them wait. Sure. We have a guest coming up. That person just texted us and said they are ready to go, and so we've basically just been killing time until they were ready to get on the podcast. So let's quick transparency. I am drinking Imperial Smells Like Bean Spirit from Microphone Brewing, and then Jeff is also drinking a beer. I'm sure it's good.
Luna Muerta by Wayfinder.
Very good.
Style lager.
That is an excellent beer.
It is. I agree.
But yeah, so just hang with us on this break, and then we're going to talk, maybe some hoops, maybe some football. I don't know. It depends on who our guest is. You'll have to wait and see.
It's probably hoops. We're back.
We're back, and we have a guest.
Woo!
He's been on with us before.
Couple times.
Yeah. I don't know. There's much more to say. He was working today.
Yeah,
you probably saw him on TV.
Yeah.
And his name is John Andrzejek.
Woo!
See, I think you guys are just going back to the well. Whenever you run out of content or you don't have a guest, it's like, we could call up John. He might join us.
We've been caught.
We've been found out. No. Yeah. No, I mean, John, I don't know if you know this, but our fans are very excited about the basketball program.
That's good. We are too.
I would hope so.
No, we're off to a good start. 5-0 is great. It's certainly better than the alternative. We're a team work in progress. The Cougs are under construction right now. So we're just trying to take it one day at a time. We've got a young team trying to get better. I think we're ahead of where we expected to be defensively at this point, and probably a little behind where we expected to be offensively. But all in all, I think we're kind of where we wanted to be, and we just got to keep getting better every day.
Yeah, was there any world in which you imagined the shooting defense being top 10 in the country after 5 games? Because that's where you guys are at right now.
I mean, that's pretty lofty for sure. I think we felt this summer with some of the guys we recruited and some of the guys like Vova that we expected to play more minutes, that area of the game was going to improve for us. We thought rim protection, 2-point field goal percentage defense, those were areas that should be better this year and should be in that top 50, top 75 type range. FA's probably even a little bouncier, a little more athletic, a little better there than we expected, and Vova's done a nice job there. And then the rest of the guys are keeping people in front. That always helps. It's a lot easier to protect the rim if you're not giving up those hemorrhages constantly.
It seems like you guys have kind of changed up the philosophy just a tiny bit. Like you were, really it seemed like really compensating for the fact that you didn't have a rim protector last year by, really being aggressive in the passing lanes, really overplaying for turnovers, things like that. And the turnovers forced her down a little bit this year, but like the defense overall is better. And, when you've got, somebody at the rim erasing shots the way FA does, and Vova had a couple blocks today. When you've got teams thinking twice. I mean, I just think to that Oregon State game, I remember there was one drive where Ethan Thompson kind of snaked his way toward the basket and he kind of lost track of where FA was. And he just kind of looked over his shoulder and was like, I don't really know where this guy is. And he kind of dribbled into the lane and out of the lane and then kicked it out because he was just like, I do not need this basketball shoved back in my face. And I don't know. I mean, maybe, kind of talk about how you guys have morphed the defense to fit the personnel this year.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving, to be honest with you. I would say for the most part, though, our principles are much more similar to last year than different. We're still kind of fundamentally a team that wants to keep you out of the middle of the floor, keep you out of the paint, make you drive baseline, and we still work hard to not make it easy to reverse the ball around the perimeter, to not make it easy to catch in the high post, things like that we got to see last year, and that guys like CJ will be used really well to get a lot of steals and create some havoc. But some things are a little bit different too. I mean, FA causes problems at the rim and can block some shots. So because of that, he has a little more latitude to rotate over and try to block a shot. And what that means defensively is we got to pick him up. When he leaves his man to block a shot, we have to pick up his man in the dunker down in the post, not let him drop off to him. And even the bigger part of that is we got to be able to block that dude out when we go contest the ball handler on a runner, on a layup, something like that. So we're still working through it. I'm hoping we're getting better as we go, and that's kind of the goal, is to be the best defensive team we can be once Pac-12 play kind of begins fully. We had our one early game, but once we're kind of all the way into the Pac-12 season, and then I think our fans can pick up on this pretty easily. But the way Vova and the way FA defend ball screens, those two things, they're not similar, right? So FA is very aggressive up there, using his lateral quickness to try to stop the ball, to try to intimidate the ball handler, make him get the ball out of his hand quickly. Whereas Vova's almost a one-man zone at the rim. He's kind of playing back off the pick and roll, letting him get downhill a little bit, and trusting that he can make it hard. He can just wall up, doesn't have to block a ton of shots. But if he just goes straight up, they're going to have a hard time finishing over him.
Well, even with that strategy with Vova, he's still blocking kind of at shots at an elite rate. He's at 11.4% right now, which is crazy high, and what you would expect from a 7-1 guy, of course. But on Effa, you talk about having to rotate, but he's so impressively athletic that he will go for a block shot and then bounce back and grab a rebound. I saw him do that multiple times against Portland State, and he's done it multiple times throughout the year. Did you realize what you had in him when you were recruiting him? Obviously, you knew you were getting an athletic guy, but did you expect him to be this far along so quickly?
Not quite, but we knew he had a chance. I mean, he was pretty hidden just because of his injuries. That he was a big question mark. Like we knew that could go in a ton of different directions, and we knew the upside there was really, really, really high. But I would say, to a man, we're pretty happy with where he's at so far, no question.
And how quickly did you learn how to pronounce his last name?
Well, I just kind of figured it out about a week ago, so I guess it's taken a while.
Well,
That's
you're
good,
not alone in that.
Yeah, you're not alone. Apparently, it took Heister and Dickow, 2 games before they got it. And I got a question from a fan today. Now, how do you actually pronounce it? And I'm like, okay, here's this tweet from Theo where FA actually pronounces it for us, which that's what we've gone with. So that definitely seemed to make the most sense. One of the things about FA too, like it's just. Like our fans are okay. So, I mean, our fans are like incredibly intrigued by some of these guys. I mean, first of all, you got their attention with a recruiting class that was, leaps and bounds above anything we've had, certainly recently. And then to see a guy like FA, like we just don't get big guys like that. And, to watch the way that he gets off the floor and erases shots is truly remarkable, and he's a pretty elite. Yeah, he's a pretty elite rebounder too. When he's not, climbing over people's backs, but like super elite rebounder. And yet, it seems like the defensive rebounding has kind of been a little hit and miss at times. Like I think even today, it seemed like maybe weren't quite prepared for Portland State's tenacity. I know obviously you miss CJ in that respect, best rebounder on the team last year. How are you guys trying to maybe cope with that absence and pick up the defensive rebounding to a consistent level? Because I know that's a huge area of emphasis for you guys in the way you play defense.
Yeah, I think it's a really complicated question with a lot of different things. So what I mean by that is, one, obviously we're pretty injured. I'm sure you'll ask me at some point, but Tony's been out for a while. Jazz has missed the last couple games. Rodman went down today. We'll see how soon he'll be back. Carlos has been out. Whatever. There's been some guys that we think would help in that area that haven't always been available. Now the second piece of it is 3 of the teams, at least, that we've played so far are teams that maybe you don't look at their name and go, that is a great offensive rebounding team, but they're really good offensive rebounding teams. Like Portland State last year was number 6 in the country in getting offensive boards. So it's a huge part of their program. Trust me, it was something we emphasized, something we were nervous about, because they send 4 to 5 guys to the glass every single shot, and that's not something you see a lot in college basketball. Most teams are either just sending their 4 and 5, or they're sending maybe their 3 also. They're not sending their point guard or their shooting guard. So they make it tough there. If you send 4 guys to the rim, you're gonna get some offensive boards. But then beyond that, we got to do a better job too. We got to block out better. We got to pursue the ball a little bit better. I think our players know that. I think our staff knows that, and we know what's coming in league. We know those teams make a living getting on the glass, and it's something we got to do. But Portland State's really good there. Texas Southern is actually really good there, and then Oregon State, so far every game they play, they've gotten a ton of offensive boards. So that's a strength of their team for sure.
I will say still, yeah, even with that, we've talked about you guys have created less turnovers, and gotten probably less rebounds, partially obviously what you said because of the teams you're playing, but still the defense has been, basically 0.86 points per possession or less for every single game, which is just
pretty good.
That's kind of absurdly low to maintain that. I guess we can kind of move on to maybe a player I think that has a lot of Coug fans really excited, and Noah Williams. The first game against Texas Southern was pretty much a non-factor on offense, but since then he's really looked like that guy that's made a huge stride offensively. That jump shot, wow, like hitting 3-pointers, like I don't think anyone expected that. Well, obviously anyone outside of the program didn't expect that. But he's still just, today against Portland State, he really took over for a time and got buckets when the team really needed them. So what can you talk about what Noah's done to improve and how that impacts you guys?
Yeah, I mean, obviously thrilled with what Noah's brought to the table so far, and I think he'll be able to sustain that. Noah cares a lot about Washington State basketball. Like, he is really, really proud to be a Coug, and just wants us to be really good, wants to see us win. Great competitor, and I'm glad you brought him up too, because I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him when we're talking about our defensive improvements and kind of what we've done so far. I mean, he's been tasked every single game this year with defending their best perimeter scorer. So whoever it is, tonight it was Scott. He was their leading points per game guy coming in. Noah has taken that on, and I think he's knocked out every one so far. Knock on wood, he's got to keep it going. We need him to keep doing it, but he's really good keeping people in front, harassing them, denying them catches, doing a great job there. And then offensively, he's been great. He's been really coachable, and getting other guys involved, taking what the defense has given him, and he's worked extremely hard on his jumper. And I think it's clearly cleaner. It's clearly something he's more confident in. And when he shoots it, we think it's going in for sure. We're excited about it. We like when they go under. We like when they close out short on him. Those are good shots for us. So hopefully he'll keep it rolling. We're thrilled, but not shocked. He's a good player. We knew he was a good player, and hopefully he'll keep it going.
We can already see the benefits of that jump shot, because there are pockets of space now that are opening up for him to put the ball on the floor. Like, people are cognizant of what he can do out there. And today, I think, was just as like perfect example of kind of everything that we hope he can be, right? I mean, he hit a couple threes, or hit 1 3, hit a 3, hit a couple mid-range shots. I mean, the one at the end of the game where he just kind of, nudged the defender and, hit a little jumper there on the baseline and, got to the rim a couple times. I think that's the sort of thing. I mean, I'm not sure you guys would say this, but as fans, I think we kind of went, okay, so first of all, we're like, okay, he reminds us all of Kyle Weaver, right? We've all been in search of the next Kyle Weaver for, for a decade or whatever. But, and it is remarkable the things that he does in his all around game. But I think that, for me at least, I was like, yeah, I mean, if he can be what he is right now, I'm like, if he can be that when he's a junior, that's pretty good. Right now he's doing as a sophomore. I know the challenge is going to be, to keep it up as the competition goes up, but man, it looks so darn sustainable.
Yeah, no doubt. He plays super hard and he's really competitive. He's the guy that if we're playing 2-on-2 in practice, he's doing everything he can to win that game. He's trying to get away with a foul here and there. He'll toe the line a little bit, and that's a good trait. The guys that win for you want to win at everything. It's very hard to kind of just go through the motions in practice and then be a killer in games. And I think Noah's kind of taken that role upon himself. To be the guy, or one of the guys that, kind of make sure the Cougs win, make sure we pull through, So I think it all goes back to his roots, where he's from. Obviously his dad played here, was an awesome player. He's proud to be here. It means a lot to a lot of our players and all of our players, but I think it means a little extra to him.
One thing, obviously, we got to talk about. You have a lot of freshmen. We've already talked about Effa quite a bit. Let's talk about some of the other ones. Obviously, Yakimovsky's gotten a lot of minutes. Bamba's been a key rotation player. What are you seeing from the impact from the freshmen, and what are you expecting and hoping from them now?
Yeah, I think they're doing well so far. I mean, it's really hard to get in there and do it as a freshman, and it's even harder during COVID when you don't get a spring and a summer to kind of work on your game and more importantly, learn our system, learn how we defend stuff, whatever it may be. So those guys got here a little late, got here end of July, early August, mid-August, something like that. And they've just been working hard as hell trying to catch up and learn our schemes defensively. And that's where I think they've spent their most time is trying to get up to speed on defense. And to a man, I think they've done a good job. I think as they keep playing, kind of the turnovers will come down. They'll probably finish a little better from 2, make a little better decisions. That just takes time, and that's part of making the transition from, playing Colorado high school ball to playing at the Pac-12 level, or playing, going from playing in Macedonia, in FIBA rules, different style of play, different style of guards, different style of defense and offense, to playing at this level. So it's a big transition for both of them, but I think they're doing a really nice job so far.
Bamba has impressed me tremendously. I know that Coach Smith would sort of like when people were talking about the recruits, and he would just almost do this like little bit of a hey, don't sleep on Bamba, right? And we were all like, yeah, okay, not really a very heralded recruit. I mean, I'm sure he's nice, but whatever. His athleticism and his strength, and not just that, but it's sort of his maturity. He just seems to have a calmness and a patience and I don't know, like he just seems older than he actually is. And, he's exciting. He played a great game today. Yeah, maybe just talk a little bit about him and is this what you thought you were getting when you recruited him? Yeah,
so I actually wasn't the one personally that recruited him. But what we expected to get from him is kind of what he's brought to the table so far. I think we thought he was a good athlete for this level that would be able to defend multiple different positions on the perimeter, and then would kind of make his mark offensively by slashing to the rim, drawing fouls, collapsing the defense, that sort of thing. And that's what he did today. He was good in transition, getting downhill. He was good driving off a closeout. He had a big and one right in front of our bench where he rammed in there. So he's young, he's hungry, wants to be good. He's working a lot on his shot. It's getting better and better. He made one tonight. I think he's going to be a reliable shooter, if not already. I already trust him shooting those things. But he's getting better and better, and he's got a good college-ready body that should be able to defend and rebound. And I think that's kind of a common theme of really all the guys we try to recruit in this class.
Yeah, that's a good point, because the way Bamba has attacked the rim, particularly today, when he made a couple shots where he just had to power through defenders. And it should be said that Portland State doesn't have your typical kind of big sky lineup. They had big dudes on their front line. And a lot of high major recruits and stuff, or transfers. He was just able to power through on a couple of things, and you can see the strength. You just look at him. But a lot of times with freshmen, they still can't finish that way. So it's really encouraging to see a slasher like that, because we've had guys that can slash like that before that were athletic, but not just be able to finish so early. So he's already making more shots than he misses, and he's already getting to the free throw line quite a bit. Obviously, some of the late fouls helped today, but and the style at which Portland State plays helped get some of your guys to the line. But Bamba, just it's impressive just to have. Again, we'll go back to this. We're not used to having these guys that are that physically ready at WSU. Especially he's basically a perfect wing size already. He's our perfect wing strength and size. To be able to do the style of basketball that he plays. And yeah, like you said, that shot already to be able to hit threes, even, I wouldn't expect him to hit half of his threes the whole year, but if he can just hit, a third of them, and then he's suddenly a threat out there, and that seems to open up what he can do. So yeah, it's he's a really exciting player, and it's nice to see him getting having a nice game today to sort of deliver on some of that.
Yeah, for sure. He's doing great, and just like all of them, just kind of keep their head down and keep getting in the gym and get better. I think he's got a good career ahead of him.
What are so maybe walk us through a little bit some of the injury situations, and maybe you could even just do kind of a sooner or later designation, not to get into too many specifics about when guys might or may not be coming back from a game plan standpoint for your opponents. But I know that some people are wondering about Tony Miller, who we saw in the first game and haven't seen since. Is that a sooner or later situation? Hopefully.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit later, but we'll definitely see him in league. This is not a season ender or anything like that. I'm not sure he'll be ready to play this next game, but he's getting better. He's getting closer, moving along, moving in the right direction.
And then Jazz Kuntz turned up with an injury before the last game. Sooner or later on him?
Yeah, I would say sooner on him. So I actually don't have the exact information on those two guys, or maybe some other guys you might ask about, but I do think we'll see him in the near future.
Rodman's ankle looked pretty bad. Do you guys think it's not great?
You guys saw the same thing we did.
Yeah.
You got no more current information than we do. He'll probably see a doctor within the next 24 hours to get a clearer sense on it. It does not seem to be something that'll take him out for the year or out for the season or anything like that. And things with the ankle are there's a wide range of outcomes. Like, they can look really bad at the time or even after the game, and then the guy can play the next day or the next game. I've seen that before. They can also look not too bad, and then the guy's out for 2 months. So it's hard to say, and I'm not really hiding anything from you because I don't know. So that's where we're at on that one.
Jefferson Koulibaly, who was thought to get some time at point guard, has had his arm in a sling. Is that a season ender on that one?
Yeah, I believe Coach already kind of mentioned that.
Okay.
That's almost certainly or highly likely to be a season ender.
And then last one, Carlos Rosario hasn't played for you guys yet, but it seemed like he was in uniform, just hasn't gotten in.
Yeah. He's available. He's still dealing with some challenges that I would say limit his ability to play at his very best, or up to his potential. But he's moving in the right direction. So he's somewhere between a sooner and a later. I'm not really sure what to say there, but he's coming along. He's good. We love him. We think he's going to be good.
Yeah, so I actually just a thing you said earlier about you're confident in Bamba. You said you guys with Noah, when he lets a three fly, you believe it. Obviously, I've looked at Smith's teams from past years. The 3-point shot has been a big part of it. So far, it's this may be a combo of the teams you face too, who kind of there's been a lot of teams you've played that I've seen that chase 3-pointers off the line. This basically their coaching staff's philosophy is to chase 3-pointers off the line. So it just seems like you guys haven't shot as many threes as I would have expected. But from hearing you, it says you're saying that you do have a lot of confidence in these guys to shoot threes. Is that how important is that? Because obviously you have one player that's taking a lot of shots, and at WSU we've had different coaching staffs where they've had that, and then you've seen other players on the team who just completely pass off shots. How do you have, one player who's kind of a dominant offensive player, but still instill that confidence in the other guys to that when they have a look, they're fine, you're fine with them letting it fly?
Yeah, it's striking a balance, and it's difficult, to be honest. I mean, it's something we struggle with, and you struggle with it everywhere you coach, no matter who you coach, is what's the right kind of shot distribution for the team, because it's not going to be equal. Your best team is never everybody shoots the exact same number of shots. So that's something we're working through. I mean, I think you referenced Isaac. He's a really good player for us, and he's a guy that we rely on and is really good for us in practice. And he's a guy that is going to take more shots than the other guys. It's kind of how he's wired and a little bit what we recruited him to do. Now, from his perspective, I think he would be the first to tell you that he expects himself to make more shots. And, I think the hardest critic on Isaac Bonton is Isaac Bonton. You know what I mean? It's not anybody on Goog Fan or writing on the blog or on Twitter. It's himself. He, like Noah, he wants us to be really good and expects us to win a ton of games. And in order to do that, we all need to be clicking on all cylinders and playing the best that we can. So, he'll, I can tell the fans for sure, like, he's working on it. He's in the gym shooting all the time. And we're, as a team, we're still molding it together in terms of, this is the right time to take that shot. Here we need to be a little more focused on getting our teammates involved and getting the ball moving a little bit more. I don't think overall we've shot it great so far, at least compared to what we're capable of. I mean, obviously Isaac has shot it tremendously better in the past, so I think that'll go up. But still, there's some others. I mean, I could tell you Ryan Rapp makes threes in practice. So I know he hasn't made one in a game yet this year. I promise he could shoot. So Eventually those will start falling. I think Miles is still on the schneid from 3 also. So, some of those are going to fall. It's just a matter of time. And part of it too is getting comfortable with each other. And that takes practice reps. And unfortunately in the world of COVID, those practice reps are, there's just less of them than there was in the past, whether that's because of, a temporary pause where you can't do team activities, or that's just not being able to do anything during the spring and almost anything during most of the summer. Those are kind of things that maybe the average fan doesn't think about every time, but they're real things. If we had 3 more months coaching these guys, we'd probably be a little further along on offense, to be honest with you. So, whatever, we'll get better though. They're hungry. They want to get better. They're all working at it individually, and I think that'll happen.
Yeah, I do want to ask you about Rap, because I know like the casual fan sees 0 points, 0 points, 0 points, 0 points, 0 points, but he has been your plus minus all-star this year, which is kind of wild. And what is it that he does on the floor because you guys are turning to him for pretty meaningful minutes, especially these last couple games. He's obviously doing a lot of things right, even if he's not scoring. Maybe for the casual fan who may not be looking for certain things, what is it that he's doing, from your guys' perspective that really is bringing that value and helping you guys win?
Yeah, I think he gets us organized offensively. I think he's a unselfish, willing passer, pass first type player. And that only helps guys like Isaac and Noah. It takes a little bit of strain off them to be able to get some catch and shoot threes. I think we got a couple of those today. One that I can remember for sure off a pass from Ryan. And those help efficiency. Catch and shoot threes are a lot easier to make than off the dribble threes. So we're trying to get where we're creating more rotations for the defense, where we're throwing out, making the extra pass, driving the next close out, throw it out again, shoot that open 3. So he helps there. And then to his credit, he has worked extremely hard at becoming a better defender and being able to keep in front, the kind of athletes and slashers that you're going to see at the Pac-12 level. So, again, like when we talked about our defense and some of the improvement there, we kind of heaped a lot of the praise at the feet of F.A. and Vova and also Noah, and they deserve it. But, the other guys have stepped up too. Isaac defends his butt off every game, and that's something, whether he makes shots or not, he always does a really nice job checking his guy, getting into our ball screen coverages, keeping dudes in front, contesting threes. Ryan's worked hard there. Andre, I know we've been all over his butt about kind of defending, and all the freshmen. TJ, same thing. So they're all trying to do that.
You mentioned the challenges of COVID with not being able to practice as much, get as much development time, et cetera with these guys. We spent the first segment talking about the situation with the football team and how they've played, 3 games out of the 6 they were supposed to play up until this point. They've got 1 more, and just how hard it all must be. We mentioned you got teams, football teams on the East Coast saying, we just don't even want to play in a bowl game. This has all been so stressful and draining. I'm really curious for you guys, basketball standpoint, your seasons, obviously just getting started. You already had your own, COVID postponement. What's it like day to day for you guys, navigating your way through this, the daily testing and just kind of all the stuff that fans don't see, that maybe they're just sort of like able to be ignorant about because they just don't have to think about it, versus, with you guys, I mean, this is a day-to-day thing. I know Coach Smith mentioned, the fact you didn't get to go out of town for Colorado, which is not a thing that I would have thought about at all as being a thing. But actually when he said it, I was like, oh yeah, that kind of makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, what is it about the day-to-day for you guys that, that's challenging about this environment?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I would say on the day-to-day level, it's just really a slight inconvenience, meaning it's, you might have to get up early to do your nasal swab, before the game. Obviously, you got to wear a mask everywhere you go, and at this point, that's just kind of old hat. That's not even like a surprise anymore. But at first, that felt a little weird. But the bigger issues are more the stoppages in practice, the stoppages in play, and we've been pretty fortunate so far. I mean, having only one game postponed out of 6 is probably a decent ratio compared to the rest of the country. It's not perfect by any means, but we're doing all right. And, to me, I mean, I love coaching hoops. I love playing it, even though I didn't play it very well. I certainly enjoyed playing it. And I think our guys love playing too, so I'm not at the place where maybe some of those football coaches from back east are that you mentioned. I mean, we love playing. We love having the season. We want to keep going, play as many games as we can. But maybe that's colored by the fact we have played 5 games so far. If it was December 14th and we still hadn't played a game, or we'd play one game, maybe I would have a little different perspective on things.
Yeah, and you guys, you have a stretch here where you're in Pullman until at least January 7th. What are you doing keeping yourself busy in Pullman other than talking to podcasters?
Yeah, there's probably been a little too much of that, if we're being honest. But no, well, I've gotten into Game of Thrones, so I'm way behind the times on that. I think everybody watched that about 3 years ago or so, but I've started slowly but surely knocking those episodes out.
You're probably one of the few basketball coaches that actually that's probably pretty standard timeline for getting into shows for basketball coaches. I assume is 3 years after anyone else has stopped watching that.
Yeah, that's about right. I'm even more delayed in some other things. I mean, this earlier this summer when we were really doing nothing basketball wise, just nothing. I knocked out the whole Wire, from episode 1 all the way through. So that was I'm what 15 years behind on that one.
And
there comes a point where you're far enough behind that you don't have to worry about spoilers anymore because nobody's talking about it anymore.
Yeah, and so what you're saying is you haven't listened to Taylor Swift's new album yet.
No, that's 2 years from now.
All right, John. Well, I guess we'll let you get back to your Game of Thrones. No spoilers there. Anyone, don't be tweeting spoilers at John. But we really appreciate you taking the time to come on a game day and everything. Hope you get some rest this week. Obviously, you have the kids have finals week and everything. Hopefully, you're able to keep them focused. I know that end of finals week game has always been a traditionally challenging one, I'm sure, for coaches. So hopefully all that goes well. And yeah, we appreciate you coming on, John.
No, thanks for hosting me. It's a long season. We got a long way to go, but just trying to take it one day at a time. And Montana State's a good team, so they beat UNLV already this year by 13, I want to say. So that won't be an easy game, but hopefully we can keep stringing them together.
Awesome. Thanks, John.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a nice night.